This is talkSPORT Breakfast with Arnold Clark. Build your own car deal online or with a few clicks they make buying your next car easy. I'm Jeff Stelling, former West Ham manager. Alan Pardew is with me. Just a text from Chris, who's a Sunderland fan. Puts a few things into perspective here, actually. April 2022, Sunderland played Morecambe on the final day of the regular league season. Results elsewhere enabled Morecambe to survive and Sunderland qualify for the playoffs. 39 months later, one side has spent £130 million by June. The other is on the brink of extinction. Football is broken. A sad story to hear about any club. Chris, thank you very much indeed for that. West Ham played in a friendly last night as well. Of course, Manchester United beat Bournemouth by 4-1. A bit of a worry if you're a Bournemouth fan. Fulcrum and Paqueta on the score sheet, though, for West Ham against Everton. I think two players who not everybody was convinced, and not everybody is convinced, will even be at the club by the start of the season. What are the sort of biggest challenges you think Graham Potter faces?
Well, I think the key sort of challenge is Paqueta. What is he going to do? Is he going to stay at the football club? He offensively is such an asset to West Ham. He's a player that West Ham have always attracted, who can always produce a magic moment. And for their fan base, be a massive blow for him to go. I think the way Potter manages is somebody I know well. The way he wants to create at West Ham, I think he's got a big challenge on his hands there. It's not looking great at West Ham in the transfer window, what they've done. And, you know, when you look at Everton, David Moyes' comments from last night really are concerning. Yeah. I mean, it's not very often a Premier League manager will come out and say, we're in big trouble at the window already. There's still a month to go.
Yeah, I mean, what he said was we're struggling to get deals over the line.
Yeah.
And time is running out.
And they're going into a new stadium, the pressure of that, etc., etc. I mean, you know, if I was an Everton fan, I'd be as concerned as if I was a West Ham fan.
Because you're saying that the majority of the players that he was looking at and has tried to persuade them to come to the club with their brilliant new stadium or want European football.
Yeah, this is a concern. And, you know, I've been in that position at Crystal Palace and at West Ham as well, where the top clubs are all manoeuvring and working where their targets are, and you're looking at all the pieces and you're trying to kind of foresee where it might fall for you. And actually, sometimes it takes a lot longer for those top clubs to sort themselves out and for the pieces to fall your way. And that's where those two clubs are currently sitting, and it's a very uncomfortable place to sit.
Yeah, very difficult position to be in. Now, one of the hottest prospects in Europe at the moment is Benjamin Sesko. It looks like Newcastle and Manchester United are going head-to-head with each other for his signature. Fresh off the back of beating Bournemouth over in the States earlier this morning, United boss Ruben Amorim was asked if Sesko could be on his way in.
No, the important thing is that Rasmus is scoring goals, is connecting really well with the team, is improving. So, again, guys, I don't know what is going to happen until the market is closed. I'm really happy with the players that we had last season. They are improving. We look like a different team today. Let's continue with that. I'm really happy with Brian and Mateus, even Diego, and you can see it. He's a smart guy for a guy that came from Paraguay to come to Premier League. He's really powerful, so I'm really happy with the three guys.
So Ruben Amorim happy with the way things are at the moment. He'd probably be even happier if he could get someone like Sesko through the door. Let's talk about that, shall we? We're joined now by our man in the know, talkSPORT's chief football correspondent, Alex Crook. Morning, Crookie.
Good morning.
So it looks like a bit of a tug of war, doesn't it, for Benjamin Sesko? I mean, he's only 22 years of age. Newcastle and Manchester United, the two suitors, or so it seems. What's the position? Where is he most likely to end up at, if at either?
Yeah, I mean, there is still a possibility that he stays at RB Leipzig, but as you say, big interest from those two Premier League clubs. I understand that Newcastle presented their project to Sesko and his camp last week. They're now fearing a hijack from Manchester United, and we broke the story exclusively yesterday afternoon on talkSPORT.com. United has sent a delegation to Germany, partly, I think, to try and see if Borussia Dortmund would take Jadon Sancho back to club, but also to try and get this deal for Sesko done. I think they will have to sell players in order to finance it. Maybe Sancho, maybe Anthony, the likes of Tyrell Malacia on the transfer list as well. And obviously Alejandro Garnacho, probably of that quartet, the player who would fetch the biggest transfer fee. But this shows, despite what Ruben Amorim has said there, I think the shortage of goals was a major concern last season. They've addressed it with the signings of Cunha and Mbeumo. They still want a number 9. And really, Benjamin Sesko is the last cab off the rank, isn't he, with Victor Osimhen off to Galatasaray, Ekitike to Liverpool. Number 9s are in short demand, as we've spoken about. Victor Gyökeres has obviously gone to Arsenal. But if he does go to Manchester United, where do Newcastle turn next? It will be another big blow for them.
Yeah, I mean, I worry for Højlund because, you know, when I think back to when he come in, they were saying exactly the same things they said about Sesko. He's got pace, he can score great goals, blah, blah, blah. And now, of course, they have him as their lone striker. Where will he fit in? If Sesko comes to the club, what will happen to him? Would there be a knock-on effect for him to move on, or does he stay and fight it out with another young striker?
Well, I've always got the impression this summer that if a club were willing to pay money for Rasmus Højlund, then United would do business. But you have to remember the transfer fee. They forked out £72 million. That looks massively overpriced now. They wouldn't get that back. There is some interest in Italy, but at the moment, my gut feeling says that Højlund will stay. But I think he needs to be taken out the firing line. I'm saying that a few hours, of course, after he scored the friendly against Bournemouth. And I have to say, I watched the friendly against
and actually, Amorim talking him up. You know, Amorim was like, you know, he's been brilliant, blah blah blah, which he's going to do. I mean, that's a given.
Of course.
I mean,
yeah, but I watched the friendly against West Ham, Pars. Now, I did think he looked a bit fitter. He looked a bit sharper. He had a big chance very early in that game that he placed over the crossbar. But I think he knows this is a massive pre-season for him to prove to Ruben Amorim after a very underwhelming campaign that he can have a role in his first team. But to say the big issue for United last year, defensively, they were fairly sound. It was the goal scoring, wasn't it? And that's why, you know, they brought these 2 number 10s in, and that's why they are looking for a number 9. And Benjamin Sesko seems to fit the bill. It's a gamble. He's not proven in the Premier League, but he's got a little bit more experience than Rasmus Højlund had when he came to the club.
Well, there is still one cab left on the rank, though, Crook, isn't there? And that's Ollie Watkins. If Villa feel they are required to sell him, and if he wants to move on, would he be of interest to Newcastle?
Potentially. I think he's on their list. So is Nicholas Jackson. I don't see Newcastle paying £80 million for Nicholas Jackson. I think that would be too high for anybody. Watkins is an interesting one because if you look at his age, if Villa did get an offer in excess of £50 million, I think they would have a big decision to make. But who replaces him? Because they've already sold John Duran. You saw his importance to the team last season in terms of their own Champions League quest. So I think it'd be a difficult one. The message we're getting from Villa is that he's not for sale. I would suggest every player has his price. But yeah, I think he would come into Newcastle thinking if they miss out on another target in Sesko.
A quick word on Alexander Garnacho. Is there still a possibility that he'll end up a Chelsea player?
Yes, I think there is. Obviously, Chelsea signing Xavi Simons, a lot of people thought maybe that would close the door on a move for Garnacho, but I'm told the sporting director, Paul Winstanley, is still very keen to bring Garnacho to Stamford Bridge. I think ultimately it will come down to finances. In January, United were looking for £50 million. I think they would accept 40 now. Chelsea probably will want to pay nearer 30. So some negotiating to be done, but they're well stocked in wide areas, Chelsea. But this is an itch they seem determined to scratch.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.